So the one of the teams not participating in the Super Bowl this weekend is
Philadelphia.
It's the Detroit Lions.
The Detroit Lions too.
The Detroit Lions, who listen. I mean, they
got unfinished business.
Yeah, they had kind of a significant lead there at halftime
Very
in the NFC Championship game, but unfortunately things went awry, and so their general manager Brad Holmes had his end of season press conference yesterday, and he talked about just keeping receipts for some of the draft picks they made that people criticized them for, and also letting everybody know this wasn't a one-and-done season for them in Detroit.
When you look back at those picks, and those picks were not welcome by many in this room. Dave, you wanted us to pick a quarterback. You didn't want us to pick Penei Sewell. People didn't want us to wait till the 4th round to draft a wide receiver. People didn't want to wait on a Derek Barnes to develop. But every single move was intentional and was made with intention. What I want to tell really our fans is, look, it's only going to get better. We're only going to get better, all right? I don't want anybody to think that this was a one-shot Cinderella magical journey that just happened. No, it's real, all right? This is exactly what it was supposed to happen. And I understand that based on history from what's happened in the past, I understand you have a season like this, it's easy to feel like this was kind of a one-shot, magical, lucky, cute story, which I'm tired of hearing. It was none of that. It's easy to think that, but no, every move that me and Dan make, it has been made to sustain what we are building. Every single move, and I'll say every single move we make and every single move we do not make is to sustain what we have been building. So it's real. Look, it's all to normalize what we're doing, all right? This is to normalize it.
So that was Lions GM Brad Holmes talking about
normalize
it.
The last time somebody was
talking about weed.
Normalize it. Gambling.
The last.
Yeah. What was it? Which one is it?
The last time somebody with the Lions said this is not a one and done, we'll be back here, was I believe in '92. And so again, 30 years from now or whatever it is, they'll probably be back at this point. They missed a golden opportunity. And it may be their only opportunity. And we talked about the division getting more difficult. It doesn't appear like the 49ers are slowing down anytime soon. They had that game and an opportunity to win that game and be in a Super Bowl, and they kind of gagged it away. Yeah. That's the way I look at it.
They didn't kind of.
No, they did. They gave San Francisco every opportunity to be here in Las Vegas. The thing I don't really get is when you are a public figure, if you put something out there, it's going to come back to blow up in your face. And I think we're living in a time where there's a lot of people who want to hold the media accountable now, which it's a losing battle. So you stand up there and you call out people who didn't like certain draft picks or decisions.
You guys in the
room that
have
worked out, right?
What you mean, you guys?
But the truth of the matter is, yeah, it looks good this year. But what happens next year if they don't make the playoffs? All right, was it one and done then? Is someone going to pull this clip back up, throw it back in his face? It's just there's no point in handling it that way. People in the media are paid to give their opinions. That's the world we live in now. If I was a part of an organization, I'm not going to waste any time calling out someone's opinion that was wrong that's in the media, because ultimately they're always going to have the last laugh.
And you had an amazing season.
Yeah.
Focus in on he did focus in on the positives. He just did it through kind of a, I told you so, or don't mess with us type deal. I think that he carries that same type of underdog approach that Dan Campbell carries. It's like, y'all don't believe in us. This, that, and the third. And they've been able to build a culture that totally their players embrace it, the coaching staff embraces it, and clearly the GM embraces it as well. So
the underdog thing is a bunch of crap. They were the favorite to win the division. They were supposed to do what they did.
Yeah, but that's their mindset, their approach, their way of doing things is We're the underdog.
That's like straw man stuff, though. They're making it up in their head, like, oh, well, we're everybody's against us. No, they're not. You were picked to win the division. You did exactly what you should have done, and you had an opportunity to go to a Super Bowl, and you gave it up.
They were literally 3 plays away from icing a game and being talked about one of the greatest moments in franchise history for this team. I would say now it is a much harder task to convince your team and convince the organization that we are the underdogs. You are now the hunted. You were the hunter because nobody was really paying attention to what was going on, but now you are the hunted. And so to me, coming into this upcoming offseason, they've got to understand that your mentality has to evolve. Like, sure, you have your core principles and you have your pillars of your foundational beliefs, and that's how you approach things every day. But you got to understand, you're no longer an underdog. You're not going to sneak up on anybody anymore. Like, we know the Detroit Lions are a physical team. They're this type of team, and we have to be prepared for this type of team going forward. So they're going to have to do more than be underdogs in order to be able to return back to what they were this past season.
They changed the narrative of being a team that's a loser or losing. They've changed that narrative in the short term of now being a team that can make it to a conference championship game. But have they changed the narrative of being a team that can get out of their own way?
They didn't do that. In fact, they proved it to be more correct.
I think Dan Campbell had an honest moment when he spoke after the game when he said, this may be our only shot. This may be I think he really felt that, because that's probably what a lot of people felt like. Damn, like we had that game. Yeah. I don't know, man. I think.
But that's a good salesman move, though. Like, lower people's expectations. If you lower people's expectations, then you have less to deliver. If you have less to deliver, you deliver more, then you look like you're brilliant.
Think about it, though, when Minnesota made that run.
Yeah.
Back when they had that miracle catch. Like, you get a shot like that, you're there. And granted, they got blown out in the conference championship game in Philly. But you think about those rare opportunities to get there. You kind of have to strike while the ball is bouncing in your favor.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was a game where he managed the game different in some ways than he did getting up to that point. And maybe that's one of the things Dan Campbell's got to look at and reevaluate is how aggressive am I going to be on fourth down, throughout the entirety of a playoff game. Instead of settling to kick before half, but then not in the second half where it probably would have benefited you in the end. It's something they've got to continue to build on and reevaluate. I just don't know how many more times he's going to be in that position to make that decision.